the 4K-Year Labyrinth. Thomas stood atop the steep hill, gazing at the outlines of Crete bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. The wind carried the scent of the sea and whispers of ancient legends. Below him lay a circular structure, hidden from human eyes for centuries. Its stone walls, covered in moss and time-worn cracks, seemed almost alive. Elisa raised her hand, pointing to the carved symbols on the outer wall. "Look, Thomas, this isn't just ruins. There's something waiting for us," she whispered, a mix of fear and wonder in her voice. Thomas stepped closer, touching the cold stone. He felt the texture of history beneath his fingers, and his heart raced. Crete's past, humanity's past, seemed to hover nearby, ready to be revealed. He glanced at Elisa, who studied the symbols intently, and a wave of apprehension hit him. This discovery could be both a gift and a curse. A voice within whispered, "What if we're not ready?" Thomas sighed, pushing aside doubt. Discovery was his life. Today he stood on the edge of something that could change everything. The sun sank lower, casting long shadows across the stone slabs. Every sound, a gull's cry, the rustle of wind, the shifting sand, felt significant, as if time itself was watching. Elisa turned to him. "Ready?" Thomas nodded. Together they stepped into the entrance, venturing into the heart of the mystery. The entrance to the circular structure was narrow and dim. Thomas and Elisa's lanterns cast long, wavering shadows on the walls, etched with ancient symbols. The air inside was heavy, carrying the scent of old stone and the dust of centuries. "These symbols, they're not just decoration," Elisa whispered. "It's like a message hidden for those who are ready to understand." Thomas leaned closer, tracing the carvings with his fingers. Suddenly, he felt a faint vibration under his touch, as if the structure itself was responding to him. "Do you feel that?" he asked, looking up. "Yes, it's alive, somehow, like it's testing us," Elisa replied, her eyes bright with a mix of fear and fascination. They descended to the center of the chamber, where a large mechanism awaited, a wheel of metal gears fused with stone in intricate harmony. Thomas touched the cold metal carefully. "This works," he thought. "We could see the past, change it." Elisa held an ancient amulet in her hands, feeling the weight of the choice. "Thomas, we need to think. Once we activate this, there's no turning back." They examined the scrolls and maps nearby. Old charts depicted the sun, stars, spirals, and wheels that echoed the mechanism. It was as if everything had been designed to awaken the portal to the past. Thomas looked at Elisa. "We can change history, or leave it as it is." Suddenly, the chamber trembled slightly, reminding them of the fragile ground beneath and the fleeting nature of time. Shadows from the wheel fell across their faces, creating an atmosphere of mystery and anticipation. "What do you feel?" Elisa asked quietly. "Fear, and something indescribable," Thomas admitted. "This is more than science. It's a challenge to our imagination, to our understanding of the world." They stood in silence, feeling the weight of the moment. The choice before them split reality in two. One path safe but ordinary, the other infused with mysticism and unforeseen consequences. The sun had fully set, leaving darkness in the chamber. The mechanism glowed faintly from within, as if calling them forward. Thomas and Elisa felt that nothing would ever be the same again. Thomas and Elisa spent hours examining the mechanism. It was composed of tiny gears and spirals, each fitting perfectly as if it were alive. Every new discovery challenged their minds and imaginations. "This isn't just a time mechanism," Thomas whispered. "I think it responds to our thoughts." "Seriously?" Elisa smiled nervously, a trace of fear in her eyes. "If that's true, we hold incredible power and equal responsibility." They experimented with the amulet and ancient maps. Each turn of a gear produced faint sounds, like soft bells, as if time itself were whispering to them. The tension rose. The desire to activate the portal clashed with the fear of unintended consequences. Outside, the airport construction continued. Leo occasionally sent workers to hurry or block their excavation. They don't understand the value of this place, Elisa muttered, watching the distant machines hum. Sometimes I wonder if we're on the right path. Thomas studied the ancient manuscripts, plans, symbols, formulas. His mind struggled to merge science and magic, logic and mysticism. An inner voice echoed, what if our choice destroys history? What if we become the cause of a disaster? That night they stayed in the structure. Lantern light cast moving shadows that seemed alive. Elisa held the amulet close. Thomas, I feel like it's calling us to take a step. But are we ready for what will unfold? Suddenly, Thomas noticed one gear moving slightly on its own. His heart leapt. The mechanism had activated itself. A mystical energy filled the chamber. Light reflected off the stones, forming intricate patterns reminiscent of ancient civilizations. It's alive, Thomas breathed. Or maybe we only see what we want to see, Elisa replied, unsure if it was silence or magic that made the room stir. Conflict sharpened. Thomas wanted to pull the final lever, risking everything, while Elisa urged caution. Their eyes met, silently acknowledging the full weight of their decision. The chamber trembled more strongly than before. Stones shifted slightly behind them, reminding them of the instability of both space and time. They realized they stood at the threshold where past and present intersected, where activating the mechanism could divide their lives into two separate realities. We could try, Thomas whispered. Or leave it as it is, Elisa replied, voice quivering. They stood side by side, hearts racing, feeling fear, awe, and exhilaration all at once. The choice was not just a matter of intellect. It demanded courage, intuition, and responsibility. The chamber, the wheel, the shadows, everything seemed to wait for their decision. Thomas slowly reached for the lever that could activate the portal. His heart pounded and his thoughts swirled. What if this destroys everything? Thomas, Elisa whispered, her voice trembling. Once you do this, there's no turning back. He looked into her eyes and saw fear intertwined with the thrill of discovery. The mechanism's light intensified, reflecting off the stones and forming patterns like a starry sky. Shadows danced across the walls, bringing to life images of ancient civilizations. I know, Thomas said. But this is our chance to see the past with our own eyes. He pulled the lever. The gears creaked and the mechanism came alive. The air shimmered with electric tension, and a wave of colors and shadows formed a portal before them. Elisa stepped back, feeling a strange mix of cold and warmth. Thomas, it's incredible, she whispered. It's like history itself is watching us. Suddenly, visions of the past unfolded. People in ancient cities, ships sailing across the sea, festivals and rituals long forgotten. Everything felt alive, breathing with them. We can change this, Thomas said softly. But what if we break it? Elisa asked. What if something irreversible happens? The mechanism seemed to heighten their emotions, responding to intent. Space and time expanded, blending reality with the past. They stood at the edge of two worlds. One ordinary, the other infused with mysticism and their intervention. First signs of change appeared. An ancient city structure seemed to awaken. Shadows moved like living beings, and the faint sound of old melodies filled the air. Thomas and Elisa realized the mechanism was not just showing the past, it was reacting to their desires and choices. I feel it's bigger than us, Thomas said, holding his breath. Yes, Elisa replied. And if we take another step, our worlds will split forever. They glanced at each other, understanding that every move now was not only a choice but a responsibility for the entire fabric of time. Their hands shook, hearts beating in unison, while the mechanism seemed to await their final decision. The chamber swirled with light and shadow. Everything they knew about themselves and the world slipped away, leaving only one truth. From now on, Crete's history was theirs, and every step they took would shape both the past and the present. After activating the mechanism, the chamber fell silent. The light gradually dimmed, and the shadows vanished, leaving only the lingering sense of change. Thomas and Elisa stood quietly, trying to comprehend what had just happened. "It's not what I expected," Elisa whispered, glancing around. Everything seemed familiar, yet subtly different. Some walls glowed with faint symbols, and the stones seemed to hum with memories of events yet to come. Thomas placed his hand on the mechanism. A quiet voice echoed in his mind, "We have changed something, and we don't yet know what." Every sound, every movement reminded them of the new reality they had created. "If we leave it hidden, no one will ever know what was here," Thomas murmured. "But if we reveal it, our lives will never be the same." Elisa felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. She touched the ancient amulet, its coldness now reminding her of the responsibility they had taken on. Outside, the world appeared normal, yet subtle differences suggested a shift. The airport construction had halted under mysterious circumstances, and people behaved slightly differently than they remembered. Everything was familiar, yet infused with a whisper of mysticism and unseen threads of time. "We've created a different Crete," Elisa said softly, awe in her voice. "Yes," Thomas agreed. "And now it's our task to live within it and understand that the past will never return exactly as it was." They felt that the changes affected not only the island but also themselves. Their relationship deepened, their values transformed, and the awareness of responsibility sharpened. The darkness of the chamber receded, leaving behind the memory of a mystery now part of their lives. Every breath, every thought reminded them that choices have consequences, and the courage to explore the unknown always comes at a cost. The sun rose over Crete, bathing the structure in warm light. Thomas and Elisa sat on the hillside, gazing at the island's contours. Everything seemed familiar, yet there was a subtle touch of magic in the air, as if time itself acknowledged their choice. "We did it," Elisa whispered, clutching the amulet to her chest. "And now everything is different." Thomas nodded. His heart felt calmer, though his mind still replayed the events of the night. They saw that their decision had created a new path. Life continued, but traces of ancient magic and mysterious symbols now threaded through everyday reality. They exchanged a glance, feeling gratitude and a quiet melancholy. The past remained untouched in essence, yet their intervention had subtly reshaped its energy, invisible threads linking them to long-gone civilizations. "It's time to open a new chapter," Thomas said softly. "And live with this knowledge." Elisa smiled. Their journey was now shared, full of discovery and responsibility. The mechanism remained in the chamber, yet they knew, even if no one else saw it, it would always exist as part of the world. The island breathed, waves lapped at the cliffs, and the ancient walls whispered that Crete's history was not only in the past but also in the choices people make today. Thomas and Elisa rose, feeling harmony between science, magic, and their hearts. Though the path ahead remained uncertain, they were ready to walk it together, knowing that every step leaves a mark on the fabric of time.